Well, I guess one of the huge underlying factors is inequality, and that affects almost every area of children's lives. And since the gap between the rich and the poor is quite clearly getting greater, I think that that's one of the reasons, unless we actually do something to make a difference to those children who don't have the basic necessities, who don't have the opportunities. It affects them in every way, in terms of their health, housing, overcrowded, damp housing, in terms of their education, because they're often mobile, they have to move between quite frequently, so they don't get to settle in school. They may not be having adequate nutrition to keep them alert and involved in their school activities. So to me that's a huge factor, and unless we address that poverty issue, we're not going to get anywhere. One of the really influential areas is participation rights. That is, recognising that children are people, they're human beings that have rights like everyone else, that we should be seeing them as citizens. We shouldn't always be seeing them as vulnerable and dependent, in need of, a problem, in need of solution. And I think the Vulnerable Children's Bill is a classic example of that. I don't think children's own perspectives or understanding of their own experiences have been taken into account. Children's voices have been quite silent. So the UN Convention says in Article 12 and 13 that children should have a right to have a say on things that affect them, and they should be entitled to information. I mean, one example of how they don't get information is children in care who aren't told why they're in care or why they're being moved, or given that sort of basic information. So, and it happens all the time. Children are ignored in the health care system. When doctors and nurses talk to parents and not to children, they're ignoring the fact that children are the ones that are feeling ill or, got symptoms of asthma, and that whatever it is, they need to be talking to the children. So the idea of actually being able to communicate with children, giving them a space to find their voice. I think if children understand about children's rights, then a lot of research actually shows that they respect other people's rights more, and it has all sorts of positive effects. So I'd like to see a lot more human rights education in school. It really makes a difference, especially when they take children seriously, when they realise that children are not just objects for them to fix, or vulnerable beings that they've got to protect, but that children can have a role in their own coping with their lives. Then I think that makes a big difference.